In this video, we shall learn about the causes of the decline of the Mughal Empire. So, under what circumstances the Mughal Empire started declining? The key reasons were the weak successor, the administrative weaknesses, economic decline, rise of the regional powers like Bengal, Hyderabad and Awadh. These regional powers had stopped paying the tribute to the Mughal emperor. Then there were multiple foreign invasions, and not only this, the military also had weakened during those days, and the British also intervened and exploited the political stability and taken the control over the Diwani rights of the Mughals. So all those things, let's discuss them one by one. The process of the disintegration of the Mughal Empire began during the reign of Aurangzeb, but only accelerated by his death in 1707. So this means that certain policies of Aurangzeb were such that it has disintegrated the Mughal Empire, like the religious policies, such as reimposing the jizya tax and demolishing Hindu temples. These all things were disliked by the Marathas, Sikhs, Jat and Rajput, and thus they will be rebellious against the Mughal Empire. Then after Aurangzeb's death, the Mughal Empire eventually will collapse. Next is, although the Mughal power was challenged by many chieftains and rulers, they did not have the ability to overthrow the Mughal Empire. So this means that chieftains means leader. Several chieftains or leaders or rulers were against the Mughal Empire, but they lacked the strength, the resources and the unity. Okay, they were divided, not united, needed to completely overthrow the powerful structure of the Mughal Empire. So this was the thing. Okay. Sikhs, Marathas and Rajput opposed the Mughal power only to achieve independence in their respective areas. So the main motto of Sikh, Maratha and Rajput to oppose the Mughal rule is to gain the independence in their region and declare their state as independent state. That is all. Thus, if Aurangzeb's successor had been capable ruler, the empire would not have collapsed. So Mughal Empire was not in a position of declining even after Aurangzeb's death. But due to the lack of the strong successor after the Aurangzeb or able ruler after the Aurangzeb, the empire started declining. That means in case Aurangzeb's successor had been a strong leader, the empire might not have fallen. Okay. Next point is, most of the emperor who came after Aurangzeb proved to be incompetent, weak and dissolute emperor. So dissolute emperor means lacking discipline, moral discipline. Okay. And most of the rulers after Aurangzeb were weak, unskilled and irresponsible, and they lack the moral discipline. So these rulers or leaders who were incapable, incompetent, had accelerated the process of disintegration of the empire and ultimately led to its collapse. That is the breakdown of the empire, and at last the Mughal Empire collapsed. The major factor which contributed to the downfall of the Mughal Empire: shifting allegiance of Jamindar. See, this means shifting allegiance of Jamindar means allegiance means loyalty of the Jamindar towards the king would shift to become an independent ruler from Jamindars. Now the Jamindar would not want to remain like Jamindar. They wanted to be the local ruler, or they wanted to declare themselves as independent ruler. So this is called shifting allegiance of the Zamindar. Allegiance means loyalty to the king. So they will shift their loyalty from the Mughal ruler to the regional power or emerging ruler. In the medieval period, two classes shared the power of the state with the emperor, the Jamindars and the nobles. The nobles means the officers, and Zamindars, who are the owner of the land. Zamindars were hereditary owner of their land, who enjoyed certain privilege on a hereditary basis and were known as Rai, Raja, Thakur, Khut, Deshmukh. So they are the owner of the land and they were the hereditary owners. They held in revenue collection and local administration, for which they kept soldiers. So they are allowed to keep soldiers, horses, and they are like local administrators. Also, these soldiers help them to collect the revenue. Although the Mughal tried to curb the power of the Jamindars and maintain the direct contact with the peasant, they were not entirely successful. It was during the reign of the Aurangzeb that the power and the influence of the Zamindar increased significantly. So due to some failed policy, like collecting heavy taxes from the peasant, there will be a peasant revolt, and the Zamindar would work for their personal benefits rather than for the empire. Now this Jamindar would act as an intermediaries, okay, and peasant often found support in the Zamindar, who could offer protection and enhance their influence over the peasant. So the Mughal attempt to control Zamindar would fail. Okay. Now next, many local Zamindar held another powerful class within the empire to take advantage of the empire's weakness and create independent states for themselves. So these Jamindar, with the help of other powerful class within the empire only, and would help them and create independent states for themselves. Sometimes the local Jamindar also used to fight among themselves, and they capture the state and declare the state as an independent state, independent from the Mughal intervention. So they will stop giving or paying tribute to the Mughals. Okay. So this was the thing. Next is Zagirdari crisis. The noble class included those who held large Jagir or Mansab or were appointed governor of Mughal provinces. This class included many Rajput rulers, Subedars, Mansabdars, and they played a central role in the administration of the empire. So first understand that who are these noble classes. They include Jagirs, Mansab, or were appointed as governor of the Mughal provinces. And Jagirdars were the individual who were granted the land by the emperor in return of the military services or administrative duties. And who are mansabdar? They were the official who held ranks or mansabs that determined their status, salary, and the number of the soldiers they had to provide for the emperor's army. So mansab means rank that determine their status, how much salary they had, how much number of soldiers they had. So mansabdar had to look after the maintenance of a certain number of the soldiers whom they have to provide to the emperor's army. So basically the Emperor Akbar used mansabdari system to strengthen his empire's administration and military system. Okay. And Jagir means the land grant or the piece of the land given by the Mughal emperor to the noble or the military officers or the officials. Okay. Whereas mansab means the status, the rank, how much soldier they had to look after for the service of the empire. So these all things played a significant role in the administration of the empire. However, Akbar provided a well-organized organization for them. During the rule of later Mughals, mutual rivalry or jealousy and competition for the power among different groups and in the absence of strong leadership not only undermined the prestige of the emperor but also contributed to the decline of the empire. So this means Akbar had a strong or administration for a stable system. But after Akbar, there was increased rivalry, jealousy among the nobles, among the officers, and there will be a struggle for the power and constant competitions for the power. Everything would result in weakening the empire. Also, the weak leadership, the successor lacked the strong leadership to control the whole empire, and which in result these jamindar will become very strong, we can see, and the empires would decline, since the empire would start disintegrating, and in the absence of strong central leadership, the empire would decline. Okay, so this was the thing. So it is simple that when there is a lack of strong leadership, the empire would lose its respect and reputation, and the people of the Mughal Empire were discontented, and eventually the empire would lead to decline over the time. This would result in the rise of the regional aspiration. Okay, let's begin this topic. It was during the reign of the Aurangzeb that the powerful regional group like Jat, Sikh and Maratha tried to create their own states. Although they did not succeed, but their continuous struggle significantly weakened the Mughal Empire. So understand the thing that Aurangzeb's long military campaigns, particularly in the Deccan, led to the weakening of the central power. His policies such as harsh taxation and religious intolerance led to the uprising of the regional power like Jats, Sikhs and Marathas to create their own state. But they would not succeed during his reign, and their continuous struggle would significantly weaken the Mughal Empire. Okay, the next point. Aurangzeb and then Bahadur Shah I tried to suppress the Rajput and induce them to fight against the Mughals. So both Aurangzeb and Bahadur Shah I, after Aurangzeb, both had tried to suppress the Rajput, and they destroy their relations with the Rajput. So the Rajput would will start fighting against the Mughal. Later, Mughals attempted to adopt the policy of reconciliation with the Rajput, but it was too late. The Rajput no longer had enough confidence in the Mughal to cooperate with them. So we will see that the later Mughal would follow the peace policy, isn't it, against the Rajput. Yet they would not be able to succeed since it was too late. And the Rajput already they will lost the trust in the Mughal ruler, and so as a result this Rajput would refuse to cooperate the Mughal. Simple. Now next. The Marathas were also becoming a powerful enemy, and soon they started pressurizing Mughal emperor to collect Sardeshmukhi and Chaut from all over India. And the Rajput struggle against the empire and growing ambitions and power of Marathas adversely affected Mughal strength. Now see, Marathas were strong, brave and ambitious warriors. They have a unique style of warfare. Under the strong leadership of Shivaji, Marathas would grow stronger. Now the later Mughal ruler would struggle to defeat the Marathas, and thus Marathas demanded taxes like Sardeshmukhi and Chaut. And these weak Mughal rulers would struggle to resist against the Marathas' growing power. They had to bow simply against the Marathas, and thus the clashes begin. And this continuous clashes between the Marathas and the Mughal would weaken the military strength of Mughal as well as the resources of the Mughals, and thus the empire declined. Also, earlier Mughal had good relations with the Rajput, but Rajput also became rebellious against the Mughal and began to fight against the Mughal Empire for their independence. So this is all about the rise of the regional aspiration. Now the next topic, economic and administrative problems. The number of amirs or mansab increased rapidly over the time. There was very little land left to distribute among them as Jagir. So understand the thing like this. Mansab or amirs number were increased rapidly, but these mansab were allotted some Jagir. But due to the lack of the Jagir or land, few of the mansab or officials of the Mughal Empire would not get the Jagir, and this would sow the seed of envy and jealous between themselves. So they will become enemy among each other, and this would cause fight and jealousies among the nobles. These problems made the Mughal Empire weaker and weaker. Next point is Aurangzeb tried to solve the problem of the Jagir by showing increased income from the Jagir. As a result, the noble tried to put pressure on the farmer to reclaim the income from the Jagir, and therefore the amirs and the farmer were against each other. So we have seen that how the increased mansab had created a conflict among each other. And similarly, that Aurangzeb would try to solve this problem by showing that increased income from the Jagir and ensure them they would get more income from the Jagirs. But farmer would suffer greatly, and they would not be able to pay. Now what happened that there will be another conflict between the farmer and the nobles, because noble would pressurize the farmer to pay higher taxes to match the increased income, but farmer would struggle and they would not be able to pay. So they were unhappy, and at the same time they are the sufferers, and they would not live up to the expectation of the nobles. So farmer nobles conflict would increase, and all this thing would make the Mughal Empire weaken and unstable. Okay. Next is the luxurious lifestyle of the armies and depletion of the Khalsa land. So Khalsa land is the land from where the direct taxes is collected by the official of the Mughals. Okay. There is no intermediaries or zamindars or subedars between the Khalsa land and the Mughal emperor. So Mughal emperor had direct control over collecting the revenue from these lands, but they started depleting, means become fewer and fewer with the passage of the time. All this put burden on the state. Furthermore, there was no significant scientific technological advancement that could improve the stagnant economy. Okay. Now see, the Mughal emperor would not focus on the scientific or technological advancement to improve the economy, and thus economy would become stagnant due to lack of innovations. Income is not increasing, and at the same time debt is increasing among the farmers because they are overburdened, while nobles are demanding more revenue from them, and all this result in the economic stagnation, which added to the decline of the empire. Okay. After the death of the Aurangzeb, these economic and administrative problems increased further. Since the ruler was weak and incompetent, it was extremely difficult to administer such vast empire efficiently through the centralized system. So, after the death of Aurangzeb, the economic and the administrative problems worsened, and the weak ruler would come. They would not be able to handle the challenges existing in those times. Also it was difficult to manage the vast empire through the centralized system. Okay. Thus the poor administration would lead to mismanagement, and the empire would decline. See, the empire was too big to manage just from one central place, and without good leaders, the administration became very disorganized and slow, and thus all this problem led the Mughal Empire to its downfall. This is all. Now the next point is the cause of the Mughals' downfall in a nutshell. So we have already, since we have discussed all those things, so have a quick look on these reasons for the cause of the downfall of the Mughal Empire in a nutshell. The main reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire were as follows. The government of the Mughal was a personal despotism. So despotism means the single ruler would have the complete authority to make the decision without seeking others' view. Okay. So the government of the Mughal was personal despotism. Despotism means ruler would make decision despite it is right or wrong, and hence its success depended on the character of the ruling ruler. If the ruler is well efficient, he would make correct decision. If the ruler is incapable, he would not be able to handle the challenges. And the later Mughals were worthless because they took least interest in administration of the state. The absence of definite law of succession. There always occurred a war of succession because no fixed successor was there. The brother will kill his own brother. What is this? And will become the last one who would survive will become the ruler. And this weakened the stability of the government. And after Aurangzeb, for continuous 2 years, some Mughal were struggling for the war of succession, and that Bahadur Shah first would become the ruler at the age of 63 years. This was the thing. The fall of the ruler led to the decline of the nobility, dispute and conspiracy that cost the empire dearly. The decline of the army also proved disastrous for the empire. And the army was very much disorganized and declined in the later Mughal period. The empire had become so vast because expeditions was there to expand the empire and drain the resources, but the empire had become so vast that it could not be efficiently governed by central authority under weak rulers, especially under the prevailing conditions of transportation and communications. Because during those days, transports and communication was also very limited. It took lots of days to reach from north to south, and considerable amount of energy, effort was put by the Aurangzeb to fight in the Deccan for expansion of the empire. Aurangzeb's religious policy was largely responsible, leading to the rebellions by Rajput, Sikhs, Jat and Marathas. So he was not at all religious tolerant, Aurangzeb, and he has reimposed jizya, the tax paid by the non-Muslim. Aurangzeb's Deccan policy was a complete failure and was important reason for the decline of Mughal Empire. So this I have multiple times I have told that his policy was a complete failure, especially the Deccan policy. So Aurangzeb constant long war in the Deccan that lasted for many years drained the Mughal resources and the military strength, and the other areas were neglected while he was focusing on the Deccan. So his Deccan policy was a complete failure and led to the eventual decline of the Mughal Empire. The invasion of the Iranian and Durrani empires dealt a fatal blow to the Mughals. So the invasion by the Iranian ruler like Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali would result in massive destruction, and including the looting of Delhi and the loss of the valuable treasures like peacock thorn and money, all lead to the instability in the empire, and thus these invasions severely damaged the Mughal Empire and contributing to its eventual collapse. So this is all for today's class, and in the next video we will learn about the rise of the regional state. This is all in today's lecture. Goodbye.